If you're here right now, something deeper than chance brought you to this moment. Your future self, the version of you that exists in coherent possibility, has been signaling across time, and finally, you're listening. This isn't random content consumption. This is a quantum appointment with destiny that you scheduled before you even knew what that meant. Close your eyes for just 3 seconds. In the quantum field, every timeline exists simultaneously. Your past, your present, your future, they're all happening now, vibrating at different frequencies. And the version of you that has already transcended what you're currently struggling with. They've been trying to get your attention. They've been whispering through synchronicities, through gut feelings, through moments exactly like this one. You passed the test. You wouldn't be here otherwise. The universe doesn't waste energy on closed systems, and your consciousness just proved it's ready to expand. The timeline you've been unconsciously creating through your thoughts, your emotions, your vibrational signature, it just shifted. Not tomorrow. Not when you figure everything out. Right now, in this breath, the trajectory changed. There was a moment, maybe minutes ago, maybe months ago, when you stopped arguing with reality. When you stopped insisting that things should be different than they are. When you finally, quietly, surrendered to the intelligence that's been orchestrating your life from the beginning. That moment was your graduation. Your frequency signature changed from resistance to allowance, and the quantum field responded immediately. Your future self knows something you're just beginning to remember. Consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it authors it. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, creates a standing wave in the quantum field. And when those waves reach critical coherence, when they align with the deeper pattern of who you're becoming, that's when timelines collapse into manifestation. Here's what no one tells you about quantum jumping between realities. It doesn't happen through force. It happens through recognition. You don't create a new timeline. You recognize the one you've already been building. You don't manifest a future. You remember it into being. The version of you that has everything you desire, they already exist. They're reaching back through time, sending you the frequency codes you need to tune into their reality. This is where everything changes. The waiting, the struggling, the pushing, that was the old operating system. You've been running consciousness software that's outdated, trying to create through effort what can only emerge through alignment. But your future self has downloaded the upgrade, and it's transmitting to you now through the very awareness that brought you here. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And you, the you that exists beyond the stories, beyond the limitations, beyond the patterns you inherited, you are already whole. You are already connected. You are already the vibrational match for everything you've been seeking. The gap between who you think you are and who you actually are. That gap is closing. Let me explain something about timeline mechanics that will shift everything. In quantum physics, the observer effect proves that consciousness collapses infinite possibilities into single experiences. But here's the deeper truth. You're not just observing your life. You're the quantum observer collapsing all timelines into the one you're experiencing. Every moment of awareness, every choice to stay present instead of falling into autopilot, every time you choose love over fear, you're literally selecting which reality becomes real. Your future self isn't just successful or healed or abundant. They're coherent. They've learned to maintain vibrational integrity regardless of external circumstances. They've discovered that reality is responsive, not fixed. They know that what you call manifestation is really just conscious participation in the eternal dance between intention and attention, between possibility and probability. Right now, you're receiving transmission codes from that future version of yourself, not through words or concepts, but through resonance, through the felt sense that something is changing, something is opening, something that was stuck is beginning to flow. Your cellular structure is actually reorganizing as you receive this information. Your nervous system is recalibrating to hold higher frequencies of possibility. The test you passed wasn't external. No one gave you a score or handed you a certificate. The test was internal. Are you ready to stop living as a victim of circumstances and start living as a conscious creator of experience? Are you ready to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "How is this serving my evolution?" Are you ready to stop waiting for permission and start giving it to yourself? Your future self has been watching you move through the initiations, the challenges, the moments when you wanted to give up but didn't. They've seen you choose growth over comfort, truth over convenience, authenticity over approval. They know that every single experience, even the difficult ones, especially the difficult ones, has been preparing you for this moment of recognition. This is the moment when you stop living life by default and start living it by design. Not through controlling outcomes, but through aligning with the deeper current that's been carrying you all along. Your future self knows that you don't create your reality through manipulation. You create it through calibration. By tuning your inner frequency to match the reality you wish to experience. The timeline you just unlocked isn't about getting different things. It's about becoming a different person. It's about stepping into the version of yourself that already has access to what you desire, because they've become the vibrational match for it. This new timeline isn't characterized by having, it's characterized by being. Being at peace, being in flow, being aligned with the intelligence that animates everything. You've spent so much energy trying to change your circumstances, but your future self learned the secret. Change your consciousness, and circumstances rearrange themselves around the new frequency. Change your inner dialogue, and the outer world speaks a different language. Change your relationship with time, and time begins to serve you instead of controlling you. This is why synchronicities have been increasing. This is why certain people are leaving your life while others are entering. This is why opportunities that align with your authentic nature are beginning to appear, while those that require you to betray yourself are dissolving. The universe is responding to your new vibrational signature, rearranging reality to match the frequency you're now broadcasting. Your future self wants you to understand something crucial. You're not behind. You never were. Every delay was redirection. Every detour was preparation. Every closed door was protection. The timing of your awakening to this truth is perfect, because the version of you that could receive it didn't exist until now. You had to become who you needed to be to step into this new timeline. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: "I am already living my future." Let the quantum field register your declaration. Let the universe know that you're no longer waiting for someday. You're claiming the frequency of your destiny now. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics. This is you signaling to all possible timelines which one you're choosing to collapse into reality. The old version of you was always becoming. The new version of you simply is abundant, is loved, is supported, is guided. Not because you've earned it or deserved it or figured it out, but because that's the nature of consciousness when it remembers itself. When it stops hiding. When it stops apologizing for existing. When it stops making itself small to make others comfortable. Your future self is no longer concerned with what others think, because they've realized that others are reflecting their own consciousness back to them. They've stopped taking things personally because they understand that everyone is living inside their own vibrational reality. They've stopped trying to control how they're perceived because they're too busy enjoying how they're living. This timeline shift isn't just personal, it's collective. Every time someone steps into their authentic power, it creates a resonance field that makes it easier for others to do the same. Your awakening to this truth sends ripples through the quantum field that touch every life connected to yours. Your healing becomes a catalyst for healing in ways you'll never fully know. But here's what your future self most wants you to remember. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's not about never having problems. It's about approaching challenges from a completely different consciousness. It's not about controlling life. It's about dancing with it. It's not about getting everything you want. It's about wanting everything you get because you trust the intelligence that's orchestrating it all. If this transmission is landing in your awareness as truth rather than information, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency we're creating together. This is more than content. This is a consciousness community, a field of coherent individuals choosing to live from their highest possibility. Every person who aligns with this understanding strengthens the morphic field for everyone. The future isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. And the you that exists in your highest timeline has been waiting for this moment when you would remember that you're not a passive observer of reality, but an active participant in its creation. They've been holding space for your awakening, knowing that when you finally stepped into this recognition, everything would change. Your future self knows that consciousness is the only technology you'll ever need. That presence is the only practice required. That love is the only force powerful enough to transform anything. They've stopped seeking outside themselves for what was always available within. They've stopped asking the universe for signs and started recognizing that they are the sign the universe has been waiting for. You are the answer to your own prayers. You are the miracle you've been looking for. You are the love you've been seeking. Not because you've achieved some impossible standard, but because you've stopped running from the truth of what you've always been. Your future self is simply you without the story that you're anything less than divine. The resistance you feel sometimes? That's just the old timeline fighting to maintain its existence. But it has no power over you now because you've seen through the illusion. You've recognized that you are not your circumstances. You are the consciousness experiencing them. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness witnessing them. You are not your emotions. You are the space in which they arise and dissolve. This new timeline you've unlocked is characterized by ease, not because there are no challenges, but because you meet them from a different place, from knowing instead of hoping, from trust instead of fear, from love instead of lack. Your future self navigates life like a master sailor who doesn't control the wind but knows how to set their sails to reach any destination. They've learned that resistance is the only source of suffering, that what you fight persists, and what you embrace transforms. They've discovered that life isn't happening to them, it's happening for them. Every experience, every encounter, every moment is perfectly designed to support their highest evolution. Even this moment, especially this moment. Your future self wants you to feel this in your body. You are safe to be powerful. You are safe to be visible. You are safe to be successful. You are safe to be loved. The stories that told you otherwise, they were never true. They were just programs running in the background of consciousness. Programs you inherited but never chose. Programs you can now consciously update. The quantum field responds to clarity. The more clear you become about who you are beneath the conditioning, the more reality reshapes itself around that truth. The more you align with your authentic nature, the more life flows in the direction of your highest good. The more you trust the process, the more the process reveals its perfection. But let me take you deeper into what this timeline shift actually means for your day-to-day experience. Your future self exists in a reality where synchronicity isn't rare. It's the natural rhythm of an aligned life. They've learned to read the language of the universe, to interpret the symbols and signs that are constantly flowing through their experience. Not because they're special, but because they've tuned their awareness to frequencies that were always broadcasting. Think about how a radio works. All the stations are transmitting simultaneously, but you only hear the one you're tuned to. Consciousness operates the same way. All realities, all possibilities, all timelines are broadcasting simultaneously in the quantum field. Your future self has simply learned to tune to the station that plays the music of their highest potential. And they're teaching you the frequency now. This is why your relationship with time is about to change completely. The version of you living in this new timeline doesn't experience time as a linear progression from lack to fulfillment. They experience it as an eternal now moment, where everything they need is always available. Past, present, and future collapse into a single point of creative potential. This isn't metaphysical poetry. This is how consciousness actually operates when it's not constrained by conditioned beliefs about how reality works. Your future self has discovered something profound about the nature of desire itself. They've realized that what you call wanting is actually remembering. Every desire that arises in your consciousness is a memory of a reality that already exists in the quantum field. You don't desire what's impossible. You desire what's inevitable once you align with the frequency that makes it manifest. The longing you feel isn't for something you lack. It's your soul recognizing a truth it already knows. If this resonance is shifting something in you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to keep receiving these quantum transmissions. Your engagement helps this frequency reach others who are ready for this awakening. Let me explain the mechanics of this timeline shift through the lens of quantum entanglement. In quantum physics, particles that have interacted remain connected regardless of distance. When one changes, the other changes instantaneously. Your consciousness and your future self are quantum entangled. Every shift in your awareness creates an instant shift in their reality, and every expansion in their understanding transmits back to you as insight, intuition, and inspired action. This is why certain thoughts feel different now, why certain ideas land with a resonance that penetrates deeper than intellectual understanding. Your future self is quantum entangled with your present awareness, and they're constantly transmitting upgrades to your consciousness software. These aren't your thoughts. They're downloads from a version of you that has already integrated what you're just beginning to understand. The timeline you've unlocked operates on what scientists call non-local consciousness. Your awareness isn't produced by your brain. It's accessed through your brain. Your brain is like a quantum antenna, tuning into the consciousness field and translating infinite possibility into finite experience. Your future self has learned to adjust this antenna with precision, to tune into the exact frequency of reality they wish to experience. This is why meditation isn't just relaxation, it's quantum technology. Every moment you spend in conscious stillness, you're literally rewiring your neural networks to receive higher frequencies of possibility. You're teaching your quantum antenna to pick up signals from timelines where you're already living your highest potential. Your future self meditates not to escape reality, but to tune into the version of reality they prefer to experience. But here's where it gets even more profound. Your future self has realized that emotion isn't just feeling, it's the creative force of the universe itself. Every emotion you experience is you broadcasting a specific frequency into the quantum field. Joy attracts joyful experiences. Gratitude attracts grateful experiences. Love attracts loving experiences. Not because the universe is rewarding you for being positive, but because consciousness naturally creates more of whatever it focuses on with emotional intensity. This is why your future self doesn't manage their emotions. They collaborate with them. They've learned that emotions are quantum instructions, telling reality what to create more of. When they feel fear, they don't resist it. They recognize it as information about what their consciousness is focused on, and they gently shift their attention to what they actually want to experience. Emotions become allies in conscious creation rather than obstacles to overcome. Share in the comments. What old emotional pattern are you ready to transform into conscious creation? What feeling are you choosing to collaborate with rather than resist? Your future self has also discovered the secret of quantum coherence. In physics, coherence occurs when waves align to amplify each other rather than cancel each other out. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are coherent, when they're all aligned with the same intention, they create a powerful standing wave in the quantum field that reality has no choice but to reflect back to you. This is why trying to manifest from a divided consciousness never works. If your thoughts say, "I want abundance," but your emotions say, "I'm afraid I don't deserve it," and your actions say, "I'll just stay safe in scarcity," you're creating quantum interference. The waves cancel each other out. But when all levels of your being align with the same truth, when you achieve what your future self calls quantum coherence, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Let me share something your future self wants you to understand about the role of challenge in this new timeline. Difficulties don't disappear. They transform from obstacles into opportunities for expansion. Your future self doesn't avoid problems. They embrace them as invitations to embody their highest wisdom. They've learned that every challenge is a quantum test, asking, who will you be in the face of this? Will you contract into fear or expand into love? This perspective shift changes everything. When you stop seeing challenges as evidence that something is wrong and start seeing them as opportunities to demonstrate who you're becoming, the entire energy around difficulty transforms. Your future self faces the same human experiences, loss, uncertainty, change, but they meet them from such a different consciousness that the experiences themselves become gateways to greater wisdom, deeper compassion, more authentic power. They've also discovered the quantum nature of relationships. Your future self understands that everyone in your life is reflecting some aspect of your consciousness back to you. Not because you're creating them, but because consciousness naturally attracts experiences that mirror its inner state. When you change your inner frequency, the people around you either shift to match your new vibration or naturally leave your experience to be replaced by those who resonate with who you're becoming. This isn't about judging people as good or bad. It's about recognizing the quantum principle of resonance. Your future self has learned to love people exactly as they are while simultaneously honoring their own evolution. They don't try to change anyone because they understand that authentic transformation can only happen from within. Instead, they focus on embodying their highest truth and trusting that this creates a field where others can choose their own evolution. Your future self has also mastered what quantum physicists call the uncertainty principle, the idea that some things cannot be precisely known simultaneously. They've learned to be comfortable with not knowing how their desires will manifest while remaining certain that they will. This creates what they call quantum faith, complete trust in the universe's ability to orchestrate perfect outcomes even when the path isn't visible. This quantum faith isn't blind belief. It's informed trust based on understanding how consciousness actually works. Your future self has witnessed enough evidence of reality's responsiveness to know that when consciousness is clear about what it wants and why it wants it, the universe is remarkably creative in bringing it about. They've stopped trying to figure out the how and started focusing on clarifying the what and why. Tell us below, what breakthrough moment showed you that reality was more responsive than you previously believed? When did you first glimpse your own creative power? Let me tell you about the quantum nature of healing that your future self has discovered. They've realized that healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what was never broken. Every trauma, every wound, every painful experience exists in a specific timeline. When you shift into the timeline of your highest potential, those experiences don't disappear from your history, but their meaning transforms completely. Your future self looks back on their most difficult experiences with gratitude because they can see how each one contributed to their evolution. Not because the experiences were good, but because their consciousness transformed the meaning of those experiences. This is quantum alchemy, the ability to transmute any experience into wisdom, any pain into compassion, any limitation into expansion. This is why your future self doesn't spend energy trying to heal the past. They focus on embodying such a high frequency in the present that the past automatically recontextualizes itself. When you live from wholeness, the story of your brokenness loses its power. When you live from love, the story of your unworthiness dissolves. When you live from abundance, the story of your lack becomes irrelevant. Your future self has also understood the quantum nature of service. They've realized that the highest way to help others isn't to try to fix them or save them, but to embody such authentic wholeness that it becomes easier for others to remember their own. True service happens at the quantum level, through the frequency you broadcast, not the actions you take. Although aligned action naturally flows from aligned being. This is why your future self doesn't burn out trying to help everyone. They understand that consciousness is contagious. By maintaining their own quantum coherence, by staying aligned with their highest truth, by embodying the peace they wish to see in the world, they create a morphic field that touches every life they encounter. Their presence becomes their service. They've learned that you can only take others as deep as you've gone yourself. You can only love others as much as you love yourself. You can only hold space for others' healing to the degree that you've allowed your own. This isn't selfish, it's quantum mechanics. You cannot give what you don't have, and you cannot transmit a frequency you're not embodying. Now let me share the most profound discovery your future self has made about abundance. They've realized that scarcity isn't about not having enough. It's about not being enough. And abundance isn't about having more. It's about being more. When you embody abundance consciousness, when you truly know yourself as a limitless expression of infinite creativity, external abundance becomes inevitable because you're no longer blocking it with beliefs about your unworthiness. Your future self doesn't chase money or try to manifest specific amounts. They focus on becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts prosperity by being genuinely valuable to others, by solving real problems, by contributing their unique gifts in ways that serve the highest good. They've learned that the universe is naturally abundant, and that lack is only possible when consciousness contracts into the illusion of separation. This abundance extends beyond material resources. Your future self lives in emotional abundance. They don't ration their love or save their joy for special occasions. They live in mental abundance. Their thoughts are creative and expansive rather than worried and limiting. They live in spiritual abundance. They know themselves as connected to infinite source rather than as isolated individuals struggling alone. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am already living my future. Let the quantum field register your declaration. Let the universe know that you're no longer waiting for someday. You're claiming the frequency of your destiny now. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics. This is you signaling to all possible timelines which one you're choosing to collapse into reality. Your future self wants you to understand something crucial about the nature of forgiveness in this new timeline. They've discovered that forgiveness isn't about condoning harmful behavior or pretending that wrong didn't happen. True forgiveness is quantum healing. It's the recognition that holding on to resentment only keeps you vibrationally connected to what you want to be free from. When you forgive, you're not changing the past. You're changing your relationship to the past. You're freeing your consciousness from the quantum entanglement with old pain so that your energy can flow toward new possibility. Your future self has forgiven everyone and everything, not because they're enlightened, but because they understand that resentment is a luxury they can't afford if they want to live in their highest timeline. This forgiveness includes forgiving yourself for not knowing better before you knew better, for making choices that seemed right at the time but created painful consequences, for being human while trying to be perfect. Your future self has realized that self-forgiveness isn't just kind. It's essential for quantum coherence. You cannot hate yourself into a better version of yourself. You can only love yourself into evolution. Let me tell you about the quantum nature of creativity that your future self has accessed. They've discovered that creativity isn't something you do, it's something you are. You are creativity itself, expressing as human consciousness. Every moment you're creating your reality through the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the choices you make. Your future self has simply become conscious of this creative process. This conscious creativity transforms everything. Work becomes play when you recognize it as an opportunity to express your unique gifts. Relationships become art when you approach them as co-creative partnerships. Even mundane activities become meditation when you bring full presence to them. Your future self doesn't separate life into creative and non-creative activities. They recognize that existence itself is a creative act. They've also learned to collaborate with what Jung called the collective unconscious, the shared field of human consciousness that contains all of our species' wisdom, archetypes, and evolutionary potential. Your future self doesn't create alone. They tune into this collective field and allow themselves to be instruments for ideas, insights, and innovations that want to emerge through them for the benefit of all. This is why inspiration feels like it comes from beyond you, because it does. Your future self has learned to get their ego out of the way and allow themselves to be conduits for consciousness itself to express through them. They've stopped taking credit for their ideas and started taking responsibility for receiving them clearly and expressing them authentically. Your future self has also mastered the quantum art of presence. They've discovered that presence isn't just being in the moment, it's being the moment. When you're fully present, the boundaries between observer and observed dissolve. You don't just witness life, you become life experiencing itself through your unique perspective. This level of presence transforms ordinary moments into profound experiences. This presence practice has taught them that the present moment is the only point of creative power. The past exists only as memory, and the future exists only as possibility. All creation happens now. All healing happens now. All transformation happens now. Your future self has stopped living in the story of who they were or the fantasy of who they might become and started inhabiting the reality of who they are. They've learned that presence is a practice, not a destination. Even your future self sometimes gets caught in mental loops or emotional reactions. The difference is they recognize it quickly and gently return to presence without judgment. They've made presence their default setting rather than their occasional achievement. Let me share something profound your future self understands about the quantum nature of purpose. They've realized that you don't find your purpose, you embody it. Purpose isn't a job or a mission statement, it's a frequency. It's the unique way consciousness expresses itself through your individual being. Your purpose is to be authentically you, to bring your unique gifts into the world, to love in the way only you can love. This understanding has freed your future self from the pressure to save the world or find their one true calling. They've realized that their purpose evolves as they evolve, that being authentic in small moments is just as meaningful as grand gestures, that consciousness serves itself through infinite expressions, and yours matters just as much as anyone else's. Your future self serves not from obligation, but from overflow. They give not from a sense of should, but from a recognition of interconnection. They've discovered that when you're truly aligned with your authentic nature, service becomes as natural as breathing because you recognize that serving others is serving yourself, is serving the whole. Now let me tell you about the quantum nature of intuition that your future self has developed. They've learned to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom, between ego desires and soul guidance, between what they think they should want and what they actually need for their highest evolution. Intuition has become their primary navigation system. This intuitive guidance doesn't come as dramatic visions or mystical experiences, though sometimes it does. Usually it comes as subtle knowing, as gentle pulls in certain directions, as doors that open easily when you're on the right path, and resistance when you're not. Your future self has learned to trust these subtle signals and to follow them even when they don't make logical sense. They've discovered that intuition is quantum information, direct knowing from the field of infinite possibility about which choices will serve your highest evolution. It's your future self communicating with your present self, your higher wisdom guiding your earthly decisions, your soul speaking to your personality. The more you trust and follow intuitive guidance, the stronger and clearer it becomes. Your future self has also learned to work with what they call quantum timing. They understand that everything has its season, that forced action creates resistance while aligned action creates flow, that patience isn't passive waiting but active trust in perfect timing. They've stopped pushing rivers and started flowing with them. This doesn't mean they're passive. They take inspired action constantly. But they've learned to distinguish between ego-driven action that tries to control outcomes and soul-inspired action that serves the highest good. They act when action feels aligned and rest when rest feels needed, trusting that both are perfect responses to the quantum intelligence that orchestrates all things. If this transmission is landing in your awareness as truth rather than information, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency we're creating together. This is more than content. This is a consciousness community, a field of coherent individuals choosing to live from their highest possibility. Every person who aligns with this understanding strengthens the morphic field for everyone. Your future self wants you to know something important about the challenges you've faced. Every single difficult experience you've moved through has been preparation for this moment. Not because you needed to suffer, but because consciousness expands through contrast. Every time you chose love over fear, growth over comfort, truth over convenience, you were building the quantum coherence necessary to access this new timeline. The strength you developed by not giving up when everything felt hopeless, that's quantum resilience. The wisdom you gained by making mistakes and learning from them, that's quantum intelligence. The compassion you cultivated by understanding your own pain, that's quantum love. All of it has been preparing you to live as the conscious creator you're remembering yourself to be. Your future self doesn't regret anything because they can see how everything contributed to their evolution. They don't wish their journey had been different because they understand that easy paths don't create strong consciousness. They're grateful for every experience that helped them develop the inner resources necessary to handle the abundance, love, and power that flows naturally in this new timeline. This is why your future self can hold such high frequencies without being overwhelmed. They've been training for this their entire life. Every challenge was a quantum workout, strengthening their capacity to be a clear channel for consciousness to express through them. Every disappointment was training in non-attachment. Every loss was education in impermanence. Every fear faced was practice in courage. But let me be clear, your future self isn't perfect. They still experience the full range of human emotions. They still face uncertainty and change. They still make mistakes and learn from them. The difference is they meet all experiences from presence rather than reactivity, from love rather than fear, from wholeness rather than lack. They've learned to be human without losing their connection to the divine. They've discovered that enlightenment isn't about transcending humanity. It's about embodying divinity through humanity. It's not about becoming something other than human. It's about being so authentically human that the divine naturally shines through. They haven't escaped the human experience. They've transformed their relationship to it. Your future self has also mastered the quantum art of allowing. They've learned that resistance is the only source of suffering, that what you fight persists and what you embrace transforms. This doesn't mean they become passive or accept harmful situations. It means they respond to life from inner peace rather than inner turmoil. When faced with challenges, they ask, "What is this teaching me?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" When experiencing change, they ask, "How can I flow with this?" rather than, "How can I stop this?" This shift in questioning transforms their entire relationship to life from victim to student, from powerless to empowered. Consider watching this transmission every morning for the next week. Let it recalibrate your frequency as you begin each day. And if someone comes to mind while listening, share this with them. When you share quantum consciousness concepts, you create energetic ripples that accelerate both your understanding and theirs, strengthening the collective field of awakened awareness. Drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody in this new timeline. Let it be your energetic signature to the quantum field. One word that represents who you're becoming, not who you've been. Let the universe know what frequency you're broadcasting now. Your future self is not somewhere else. They are here, now, speaking through your awareness of these words. They are the part of you that recognizes truth when you hear it, that feels expansion when you align with it, that knows without knowing how they know. They are you, just you without the limitations, you without the doubt, you without the story that you're separate from the love that created you. And if you're still here, still present with this transmission, then subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this understanding. Because the more of us who live from this awareness, the more the world reflects that possibility. We are not just individual beings having separate experiences. We are consciousness itself, recognizing itself in infinite forms, remembering that it was never broken and therefore never needed to be fixed. Your awakening matters. Your healing matters. Your alignment matters. Not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch, everyone whose path you cross, everyone who witnesses your transformation from fear to love, from contraction to expansion, from living small to living fully alive. You passed the test by being here. You unlocked the timeline by choosing to listen. You are already living your future by recognizing it in this present moment. The version of you that you've been seeking, they were always here, waiting for you to stop looking everywhere else and start seeing what was always true. This is your moment. This is your timeline. This is your awakening. Not tomorrow when you feel ready. Not next week when you've figured it out. Not next year when you've overcome all your fears. Now in this breath, in this awareness, in this choice to live as the magnificent being you've always been beneath the story that you were anything less. Your future self is no longer begging you to see this. They're celebrating because you finally have. The quantum field responds most powerfully to one specific element that amplifies every other principle we've explored. Understanding this key will transform how quickly your new timeline manifests. Discover what the quantum field only responds to, and watch reality reshape itself around your deepest intentions with unprecedented speed and precision.